Hey guys, I'm Dr. Argie. Welcome to the Ask Dr. Argie Courageous Conversations Connect series. Listen, I am the founder and CEO of Faith Inc., which stands for Family and Individual Therapeutic Healing, and co-founder of Connections Matter LLC, and CEO with my husband, Morgan E. Wilson Jr. We bring you content every Monday through Friday with these rich topics and juicy topics sometimes, but then sometimes there's some tough, courageous conversations too. And tonight is no different. This is Mindful Mondays. And yeah, Mindful Mondays is filled with conversation. We always say it's a dialogue, not a monologue. So it's filled with conversation that's coming directly to you. Now, on Freedom Friday, which was right after Thanksgiving, I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We asked you for the month of November and for this particular week, what you wanted to talk about. And you guys basically, full out, really sort of on one accord telling us that you wanted us to talk about loss, right? And so we decided, of course, that we were going to deliver on giving you the best content that we possibly could when it comes to loss. Well, here we are. It's Mindful Mondays, and we are bringing you content regarding loss. And the topic here is fear of loss, what to do when loss makes you lost. Fear of loss during the holidays, what to do when loss makes you feel lost. So I want you to do a couple things for me. I want you, if you like this content, because this content I think is really, really important around the holidays. This is something that I see in the practice at Faith Inc. all the time, where we get very, very paralyzed by our fears. So if you feel like this is content for you, if you feel like this content is for someone that you love, I want you to STLC. We like to say share, tag, like, and comment. Why? Because we want to share this information with other people. We want to be inclusive. This information is not just for us. This information is for all of us, right? So STLC, share, tag, like, and comment. And we want to have a dialogue. So I want to give the shout out to whomever's on. It's 7:30. It's Mindful Mondays. It is right after the holidays. So maybe, Thanksgiving, we've got, we had some turkey. We had some really, really good food. We fellowshipped with those. But we also have to say that during the holidays, even during Thanksgiving, when we have so much to be thankful for, it also can bring about depression. It can bring about fear of loss. It can bring about memories related to the loss of loved ones, but also there are multiple different kinds of losses, right? So it could be loss through divorce. It could be loss through divide. It could be loss through death. It could be loss of a job. It could be loss of how you have seen yourself to be because you're getting older and wiser, hopefully, but you're thinking about what was of the old and not so much what is the new norm. So if you like this content, please share the content. And I want to engage in our mission is to have those who are in our crew, that stands for Connecting Relationships for Epic Wins, to be talking about this stuff, right? Because we are believing that courageous conversations connect. That's why we entitled this series the Ask Dr. Argie Courageous Conversations Connect series, because we believe that, if we continue to forge ahead and be courageous and have conversations, this is going to connect us versus disconnect us. It's going to move us closer together versus divide us. But we've got to take some risk in the conversation. So STLC, share, tag, like, and comment. And I want to give a shout out to those people that are coming on. I want you to get your coffee, get your tea. If caffeine is too much, get your beverage of choice. Maybe settle the kids down. I know it's the first day back from, the Thanksgiving, the couple days that we have off. But, if it's later, they can share in the conversation as well. Because I think it's a really, really important conversation to have. I also want to share with you guys, because I'm a little bit of an open book, so some of you guys may have seen my Facebook post that on Thanksgiving, we and my family ended up having a little girl. So no, I had said to somebody else in the store today that we had a baby, and what I meant to say was my family had a baby. I didn't mean to say I had a baby, Morgan and I. But we, who needs a turkey when you can have a real live baby girl that comes out of the oven? So my niece had my first great niece, Morgan and I, first great niece. Her name is Elise, or Joelle Elise. We call her baby JoJo. She was born and she's 6 pounds, 11 ounces, and 20.5 inches. And she was born at 10:19 a.m. And I put a post out saying that she was going to be here, and I was sort of feeling the vibe, I was feeling the energy, and sure enough, about less than an hour later, my husband called me upstairs and said, come on, we got to go to the hospital, get yourself together. And so it was a really, really wonderful Thanksgiving Day. It was a wonderful surprise for us. Who else is, hey, it looks like some other folks are on here. So, let's engage in the conversation. When we think about loss, what do we do? Fear of loss, when loss makes us feel lost. Oh, she said, congratulations. Thank you so much. The other thing that I was thinking about when it comes to fear of loss, and even what my family is going through with regards to the birth of our great niece, was, and I don't know if any of you all know that I have a very sick relative as well. And this sick relative, my auntie, has spent her entire life, just being independent. And to see her transition at this point in a place where she needs a lot of care, really resonates with regards to the cycle of life, right? Because so many of us we're sort of dependent on what age you are. You're sandwiched between all these wonderful milestones, like the birth of a child coming into this world and being able to see the miraculous beauty of what it looks like within God's design to usher a human being into this world. And simultaneously, we get to experience, if you live long enough, someone who may be transitioning, right? And the question becomes, with regards to loss, and I experienced actually two simultaneously. I experienced one of my very dearest friends passing away in the end of August. We were traveling together, and she ended up passing away August 30th, very, very suddenly. And then I'm experiencing my auntie who's very sick and, not doing as well as we would like her to be. So it begs the question of the cycle of life, and are we even prepared for these losses that we experience? And if we're not prepared, what happens is we tend to fear those losses, and oftentimes those losses make us feel lost, right? And then what does that mean? When we're just not sure, things have come out of the blue, we weren't prepared, we feel like we've got blindsided. And the truth is that why these are called courageous conversations is because very seldom do we talk about it. We like talking about other things, but when it comes to the loss through death, we don't particularly like talking about that. We don't really like preparing for it. Too often we find ourselves unprepared. We don't have a power of attorney. We don't have a will. We don't have those things. I think that when Aretha Franklin passed away, they said that she didn't have a will. I just heard today that Oprah Winfrey's mother passed away, rest her soul, on Thanksgiving Day. So what do we do when life presents us with these opportunities to think about even our own mortality, and we're not really prepared because we haven't really processed it in our head? We haven't really talked about it. We haven't even engaged with others about it. Well, that's what this conversation is about. It's about connecting relationships for epic wins, our crew, right? And it's about us having a dialogue, not a monologue, about the things that sometimes we're a little apprehensive about talking about. But the truth is, what I like to call is the dash, right? There's birth, right? Which I experienced just recently. And shout out to, I don't know if a good friend of Morgan and I, Monica Jones, she just had a a grandbaby that was born today. So shout out and congratulations to Monica and her family. So we have the birth, right? And then we have the death, and somewhere in between we have a dash. And in the dash are wonderful multiple opportunities for us to get it right. Every single day when we wake up on this side, we get another opportunity to try it again, have another chance to get it right, to love more, to laugh more, to embrace more, to lift people up, to affirm more, right? To engage in the cycle of life more. We get that opportunity. And what my experience has taught me in particular with the losses that I've incurred recently is that life is too short, right? It's too short. And if we're walking around fearing it, then we will never really process the beauty of the life that we have and the engagement that we have with other people that allows us to really experience all of it fully, like play full out, leave everything on the floor. If we know there's going to be an endpoint, right, that we're going to die, transition, and if you're a believer like me, there will be the afterlife for those of us that are going to the other side. But for right now, since we're here, right, play full out. What does it look like to leave everything on the floor? What does it look like to love hard and to laugh hard and to be fully engaged with all of humanity? So because we've been talking about fear, right, all month, and this particular week, we're talking about fear of loss, what to do when we're fearful of loss and that loss makes us feel lost. Well, let's say a few things about fear. First of all, fear doesn't have to be unhealthy. Fear can be healthy. We said a couple of weeks ago that you can either face everything and remain, which means you go into it with eyes wide open, understanding that life is pretty complex and that we don't have all the answers, but we can face it. Or we can forget everything and run. Or fear also stands for false evidence appearing real. So what that means is that, quite frankly, sometimes we're so fearful about things that it keeps us paralyzed in such a way that we begin to kind of have a downward spiral and our life is unhealthy. Fear also comes in so many shades. It doesn't have to look the same for everyone. And it's not automatic, meaning that it's not just what we think. It's sometimes what we do, and then how that manifests itself, and then how we react to it. And that we don't need to be in danger to be fearful, or oftentimes the more scared we are, right, the more scarier things end up being. So tell me if that makes sense. I want to give a shout out. Monique Rowland is on. Hey, Monique, how are you? And who else is on? Don is on. Thanks for joining. There's a couple other people on tonight. I know it is the Monday after Thanksgiving, but I think that this is a really, really, really important topic, right? Around fear. I don't know how many of you think about your fear of loss, but I want to kind of give you a few definitions as it relates to fear. First of all, there is isolophobia, right? There's isolophobia, there's autophobia, there's monophobia, and there's aromophobia, right? Sounds like aromatherapy, but aromophobia. And all of those phobias are fears of loneliness, fear of loss, fear of solitude, and fear of being alone, right? And so think about that. That's really, really important, because when you experience a loss that makes you feel lost, oftentimes it's because we haven't processed those fears. We move into a place where we're feeling like we're going to be constantly engaged. And really, I like to say that oftentimes when it comes to fear of death, many of us have this false sense of security, right? We want to believe that everyone that we love and that we engage with, we all come here together and then we all transition together, right? Nice thought, not reality. It'd be nice if we all came together. Then we wouldn't have to deal with all the trauma, right? In our heads, our mind trauma and our mind drama that keeps us sort of stuck in this place of disillusionment when we actually do lose loved ones. I hope that makes sense, you know. And then when we think about the concept of what it looks like, you know, some of us are alone, like meaning that we're not connected to a partner, but we have family or friends, but we're not lonely. And then how many of you can attest to sometimes being in a room full of people and you're in a party or you're in a space where there's a community and yet you feel alone, right? So there's that fear of being alone. And sometimes that does get triggered by the losses that we incur, right? And there are multiple losses. As I said, all losses don't look the same. So there's loss through division, right? When we are separated from someone that we love. There is loss through divorce, meaning that you didn't see it coming. You said, till death do you part. And then you realize that this is not working, or your partner, and you move in the place of separation or divorce, which, by the way, impacts everyone. Divorce impacts your children, impacts your parents, impacts your siblings, because you mesh your families together, or you blend your families together. And then if it's not working out for you and your partner, right, that doesn't mean that everyone else has signed on to that divorce. And so they could be going into the holiday season feeling a little bit off balance because they didn't ask for this divorce. They didn't ask for this disconnection or this separation, and they don't know what to do with it because it's not their new norm. And how many of you know that many of us incur drama and trauma because we are fighting against the old norm, which we want things to stay the same, right? But, you know, in the rooms of Anonymous, they say that insanity is wanting, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So when you think about the new norm that you're moving into, it can be really scary, right? And this is why that during the holiday times, you know, the stats bear out that they show that many people are very depressed. Many people are not enjoying the holiday season, although it's supposed to be a time of friendship and fellowship and food and fun. And yet there are people that are not having so much fun because they're focused on the losses that they either incurred already or the losses that they are incurring now. And they're trying to sort of wrap that around their minds with what to do, how to manage this new norm that they didn't ask for, nor do they want, whether it be the loss through the death or loss through a divorce. I hope this makes sense with you guys. Nicole is on. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Nicole. How's JoJo, Nicole? How's my great niece doing? I can't wait to hold her again. That is my niece who's on, who just had a baby. And, you know, interesting enough, Nicole and I, she can attest to this. We were talking about bless you. Brittany was sneezing back there. We were talking about my mom, right, who passed away December 28th, 2014. Actually, today I went to the memorial, the place where she is laid to rest, and it was raining. It was raining really, really hard, but I really wanted to put flowers on her gravesite, and that made me feel more connected to her. And I know my niece Nicole is very connected to my mom too, because she's the first granddaughter. So we talked about it a little bit around what it would feel like if my mom was here. And although she's not here physically, I know that she's here spiritually. And that she was very, very connected with Nicole being her first grandbaby. She had a very close connection, and I imagine that she would have had an amazing connection to little JoJo, but I believe she's watching over us. Well, here's the truth, and I'll be a little transparent with you guys, that 30 days after my mom passed away, and Lou can attest to that, as she's been one of my best friends for many, many years, and now is keeping us all together here at Faith, Think, and Connections Matter. 30 days after my mom passed away, I married the love of my life, Morgan E. Wilson Jr. And interestingly enough, I looked at him a couple days after, and I said, you know, I know this is not what you signed up for, because I was so depressed. And that's not what anybody wants when they're in their honeymoon stage. We want to be having fun, having a good time. I was just depressed. And so I thought to myself, like, you know, is he going to stick around for this? And he said, you know, listen, I'm in it to win it. And the depression eventually subsided, but I had to begin to adapt to my new norm. And I had to accept, because there are 5 stages of grief, right? The 5 stages of grief are, in the very beginning, you feel like you're in denial. right? That this is not happening. And then sometimes you feel angry, which I was angry with God. Like, why couldn't I have a husband and my mom at the same time? Like, what was that about? And then there's a bargaining process that you go through, and depression, not necessarily in that same order. And then you get to a place of acceptance. And I can truly say that now, I'm in a place of acceptance about the fact that my beautiful mother that I had, and I focused so much more on the number of years I had her with me than not, was amazing. So she's here with me spiritually. What about you all? What does that look like for you? James is on. Hey, James, how are you? And Jason's on. Hi, Jason. Happy Thanksgiving. Post Thanksgiving. It's Cyber Monday now. I guess everybody's shopping too. And Monique is on. Monique Rowland. I also know that Morgan just lost his cousin. God bless his cousin who transitioned for a couple of weeks ago due to cancer. So when we think about the losses, here's a couple of things, and you all tell me what you think about this. When you think about the losses that we incur, whether it be division, whether it be divorce, whether it be through death, especially around the holidays, there's a couple of things that I want to help you all out with. The first thing is that it's okay to ask for help. It really, really is okay to ask for help. It's also okay to get support. Sometimes we need grief groups. Sometimes we need to be connected with our friends. Sometimes we need to just, send an SOS and say, I'm not feeling that great. It's okay to begin to read. Sometimes look for the signposts. Signposts are not persons, they're books, they're podcasts, they're audio tapes. There's some things that you can do to really help yourself out when you're experiencing the loss. And then, think about who has your best interest at heart. And then I like to say truth, trust, transparency leads to transformational breakthrough. So be transparent, be truthful with yourself if you're not okay. Trust someone so that you can get to the other side. And then pay attention to the inner radar, right? What is the inner radar? Pause, stop, think, listen to yourself, and then follow your instincts. If you want to, it's okay. If you want to think about, if you want to sort of, get in tune with yourself, do that, right? If you need to be alone for a while, do that, but not too long, right? If you're depressed, that is not the time to be alone too long. And of course, you guys know, I'm a proponent of therapy. I think everybody needs to have a therapist on speed dial. I think that you need to look, do your proper research to get the right